coming to you from the furthest point south in Armenia. It's been a very long day. It's about a 7-hour drive down here from Yerevan. We went to church this morning with a whole bunch of very, very happy Iranians. And then we got in our car and started driving. And you got to drive over 2 big mountain passes. In some places, the snow on the side of the road was literally like 6 feet deep, and got up over 8,500 feet at one point. And then come back down, and we're actually in the lowest point in Armenia right now, but it's one of the most remote places in Armenia because it's so hard to get to. But the Iranian border is just right there. I mean, it's literally a stone's throw from the Iranian border. The border fence is there. And, you know, strangely enough, they don't have trouble with people crossing that fence illegally, even though it's nowhere near as substantial as the border wall on the U.S. southern border, the Trump wall. It is just two chain link fences with barbed wire on top. They've got cameras and things like that. And the reason they don't have problems with people crossing illegally is because, number one, they make it fairly easy to cross the legal way. And number two, if you cross illegally, they will shoot you. Point, period, end of story. There you go, okay? So there's a whole lot going on in this conflict right now. We literally just arrived down here, so I've been, looking on my phone and stuff on the way down, talking to people. I had my wife drive. That makes her happier because she doesn't like it when I drive, especially on windy mountain roads. So I got a lot of chance to do some calling around, talking to people, reading some things. And so, folks, if you haven't signed up yet for the daily intel brief that I put out, you can get that by becoming a supporter over at chuckholton.com. And chuckholton.com is just like a Patreon, like locals page where you can support your favorite creators. And so toss me $9 a month. You get this daily intel brief that's very substantial. A lot of people are really happy with it. And you also get extra content. You get early access to some of our videos. You get access to some of my books and my documentaries and things like that. And you help keep us in the field. We're fortunate tonight because we're staying in a guest house down here in Agarak that we don't have to pay for. So that's nice. I wanted you to know, for all of you who donated yesterday on the live, oh, there's a cat. Look at that. Come here, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. For all of you that donated on the live, we raised about $700, and we were able to buy plane tickets for a Iranian woman who was left by her husband, and she's in Armenia kind of all alone, didn't have the money to leave, but her visa to be in Armenia was about to expire this coming week, and she didn't know what to do because she just didn't have any money to go anywhere. So you provided the money to buy her a plane ticket. I got her a hotel room in Turkey. She's going to just spend the day there and then fly right back to Armenia. But thank you very much to all of you who helped out. That was very kind of you. And I just love that about this, our thing we've got here going with the hot zone. You can reach through the technology and actually make people's day. And I get to be the conduit of that. That's so much fun. I love it. So I'm out here in the war zones, and I'm seeing people that are having their worst day ever. And I bring that story to you. You guys step up every time and just bless the socks off people. So I just want to say thank you to all you for that. Okay, let's get into the news. The United States and Israel, obviously, they performed a decapitation strike yesterday on Iran. They took out about 50 of the top leadership of Iran in one strike. The Ayatollah Khamenei and 48 or 49 of his underlings, mostly generals in the IRGC and high-ranking members in his government. Now, from what I understand, the president of Iran was not killed yesterday. He released a statement, saying, "Oh, we're blah blah blah." I don't, you can guess what he said. I don't need to even tell you, but that was obviously a major strike, and what that's done is it's left the Iranian government in free fall. They are scrambling to try to get some sort of governance, structure put back in place. They've already appointed a new Ayatollah, and I had a picture of that guy, but I'm not going to be able to show it to you, I don't think. Let me see if I can find it. Does that this guy? You have to see the picture to understand why this guy just is not. Oh, here he is. Yeah, this is him right here. Here's the new Ayatollah. He does not look real happy about his new position, and he probably shouldn't be buying any green bananas, if you know what I mean. So there's a good chance that that guy will go the way of Hassan Nasrallah and the Ayatollah Khamenei and so many others. I saw a video yesterday that was taken maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, something like that, that had the Ayatollah, it had Hassan Nasrallah, it had Yahya Sinwar, it had like all of these Hezbollah and Hamas leaders in it, all meeting with the Ayatollah, and everybody in that video is dead. I think that makes Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of the October 7th attacks, the worst military strategist on planet Earth in history. He messed around and he found out, and so did everybody else apparently. So I wanted to talk in all seriousness. We do have information that there have been 3 American deaths, 3 American troops that were killed. We've not been given by CENTCOM any information about that as far as where they were killed or who they are or anything like that. We were just told that 3 service members are killed and 5 were severely wounded. I imagine, if I have to guess, I would say it probably was at the base in Bahrain that was struck, the 5th Fleet base, because it had been largely evacuated, but not fully evacuated, and it got struck multiple times. But there are other bases that have been struck as well. They have targeted U.S. bases in Saudi Arabia, in Doha, in the UAE. In the UAE, they actually targeted the Burj Khalifa. I mentioned that yesterday. Unbelievable. Targeting the largest, tallest building in the world, that would really be bad if they took that thing down. Shades of 9/11 there. Now, Laura Loomer came out and, now I don't usually quote Laura Loomer because I don't agree with most of what she quotes, but she's a Jewish American pundit. And she came out and she said, by the Islamic calendar, yesterday was the 11th day of the 9th month of their calendar. So I kind of doubt President Trump actually knew about that and decided that that was the day. They decided when to strike by the CIA and Mossad intelligence that told them this meeting was going down at the Ayatollah's residence yesterday, where they were able to decapitate the entire government. That's what they were waiting on. And they struck at 8 o'clock in the morning because the Iranians know that the stated policy of the Israelis is that they fight at night. That normally gives them an advantage because the Israelis are typically fighting adversaries that are not as well equipped as they are. And so because of that, they have an advantage because they use night vision and their adversaries don't. However, they regained the element of surprise by striking at 8 o'clock in the morning because it was okay. Ramadan, right? These guys are usually up all night, and they they're going to be less aware early in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, genius, genius stuff. But anyway, so as I said yesterday, Iran has struck 8 countries now, all across the region. Kuwait, Iraq, my friends that live close to the airport in Erbil reported more missiles coming in today, virtually all shot down, I believe. Most of the missiles that have been fired at Israel, and now we're over 200 missiles that have been fired at Israel, have been shot down as well, but some did get through, and one in particular landed in Bet Shemesh, which, like, I have friends that live in Bet Shemesh, and a missile landed there and killed at least 9 people and wounded more. Apparently, it hit a residential home. And you know, in Bet Shemesh, there's no military base near there. There's no military target near there. This is proof that the Iranians are literally targeting civilians and just trying to kill civilians as many as possible. But that's a terrible blow, obviously. It's not going to move the needle militarily. And yesterday, before this happened, they were reporting that 89 people had been injured so far since the war started in Israel. And I was like, whoa, I didn't hear about that. What, like, how many missiles have been getting through? Well, it turns out 86 of the 89 tripped on the way to their bomb shelters and got minor injuries, you know, sprained an ankle or broke a leg or whatever, got some bruises. Some people had panic attacks and that sort of thing. Other than this terrible news out of Beit Shemesh and the equally terrible news from the U.S. CENTCOM of the 3 U.S. troops that were killed, the death toll on the side of the West is pretty low. Al Jazeera is reporting that the death toll inside Iran is over 200. I mean, we have no idea if that's true or not. You can't believe anything out of Al Jazeera. But they report more than 700 wounded, and they've been really running with this story that there were a bunch of schoolgirls that were killed by a U.S. strike in southern Iran. I told you yesterday, there are photographs that show an Iranian missile taking off and turning around and falling right back to earth. You know, it was a dud, and it landed on the school. But again, there was no proof that there were girls killed in that school. There was a photo that came out with a pile of backpacks and some debris, but no bodies that were shown. And you know, I'm not saying that they should be parading them all over the internet or anything, but it remains to be seen whether or not that was an actual thing or just play at the media to try to Israel in this war. Now, these troops that were killed in action, obviously, very terrible. Iran has claimed that they struck the USS Abraham Lincoln. The Abraham Lincoln just kind of went, like, yeah, right. They put out a statement from CENTCOM that said, or from the U.S. Navy that said that no missiles came anywhere close to the Abraham Lincoln. And, you know, if you want to know how vulnerable the aircraft carriers that we have out there and their literal ships and all that are, go watch the video from Ryan Macbeth that he just put up about what day 2 of the war looked like and that sort of thing. He actually just made a video specifically about, could Iran shoot down or sink a U.S. aircraft carrier? And he just goes through all the different layers of protection that those aircraft carriers have. They've got, oh my goodness, you know, all sorts of aerial reconnaissance, so AWACS and other airplanes that are up in the air that can look very far away and pick up any threat long before it becomes a problem for the ships. And then they've got to get through all of the surrounding ships, because The aircraft carriers travel it with an entourage. They have a whole lot of other ships around them, destroyers and frigates and stuff like that, that all have SM-2s, SM-3s, SM-6s on them, which are surface-to-air missiles that can shoot down an incoming threat. And then if they get past all of that, they have to contend with the close-in weapon system that the ships all have, which are like they call it the Sea Whiz. It's basically like R2-D2 with a Gatling gun that shoots 4,000 rounds a minute. And those things are, and they're radar guided, so they pick up on the incoming target and just vaporize the thing before it gets close. And then even if it got through all of that and actually struck the Abraham Lincoln, one missile probably would not sink it. It's very unlikely because those things are built as a warship. They're built to be compartmentalized. And so we've seen with the USS Cole and other American ships that have been struck with very large explosives, much larger than are carried on ballistic missile, that they didn't sink. They were repaired. They got towed into port and they were repaired. So it's very unlikely that Iran will be able to sink any of our ships. However, the United States claims, but President Trump claimed today that the U.S. has sunk 9 ships of the Iranian Navy. Those 9 ships, only one of them is confirmed, and that was a corvette. It was a kind of like a destroyer in the Iranian Navy, and it was actually sunk at the naval base. It was in port there, and so it went to the bottom, and it's now doing its best impersonation of a submarine. And so again, the jokes write themselves that when Iran rebuilds its Navy at some point, they're going to have to put glass bottoms in all their ships so that they can see the old Navy that's on the bottom. We don't know if the 9 ships President Trump was talking about are actually, again, confirmed, and we don't know what kind of ships they were. So they could have been these little speedboats. They could have been a dinghy that was offshore. We don't know. Hopefully we'll get more information about that soon. Now, regionally, the Iranians have been striking everybody. They've been just shooting at everybody, shooting missiles in every direction. And they've continued to do that today. As I said yesterday, they have a lot of short-range missiles that cannot reach Israel. So they might as well do something with them. So they're striking at American bases all around the region. And you know we have more than 40,000 troops stationed in Kuwait and Iraq and Syria and Bahrain and Jordan and Qatar and the UAE and Saudi Arabia, etc., and Israel. Okay, so we got troops all over the place at bases around there, and again, all of those troops have been trained to run to the shelters, and they all available to them where they can ride out the storm and that sort of thing. But the U.S. really does not have enough air defense assets to shoot down all the incoming missiles, these short-range missiles that Iran is firing at them. And so these bases have taken hits. The one in Bahrain has been pounded. The one in Qatar has been hit multiple times. I haven't heard anything else about the one in UAE except that the government of the UAE is not happy at all. And they are reserving the right to respond by striking Iran at a time and place of their choosing. I think it's likely that you will see some strikes from from the surrounding Arab states hitting Iran in the near future. Now, the question that's on everybody's mind is, how close are we to regime change? When I went to church this morning, there were a lot of Iranians there, and they almost couldn't get church started because all the Iranians were out in the foyer just chattering away like magpies. They were just so excited. And so many of them were kind of late getting into the service. But a lot of those Iranians are actually not believers. They just come to the church because that's where a bunch of other Iranians go and they can talk to their friends and that sort of thing. So somebody's asking how close I am to the war zone. It's right over there. I mean, technically, I could practically throw a rock and hit Iran from where I'm sitting. It's very, very close. Now, there's no fighting going on, no bombing going on in the area that I have in view or in earshot. I'm not hearing any explosions or anything like that. But the reason I came down here is because this is the only land border where Iranians can leave Iran right now. And I want you to think about that, because Iran borders a bunch of Muslim countries, Turkey and Iraq and Saudi Arabia, et cetera, et cetera. None of those countries will allow Iranians to enter their country. None. And all of their border crossings are closed. The only border crossing that's open out of Iran right now on the ground is right here in Armenia. And so there have been for years now Iranians coming across this border into Armenia. They don't need a visa to get here. And many of them just come here on vacation. They come to go do the things that they aren't able to do in Iran, like drink wine and dance and listen to music and stuff like that. And so it's been very common for years. If you come to Armenia and you walk around in downtown, the capital of Yerevan, to run into to Iranian people. Many of them speak English. They're highly educated. And if you talk to them, you'll find that some of them are not here on vacation. They're here to claim asylum. They're here seeking asylum, and they have had to flee their country. You start getting them to tell you their stories, and their horrific stories of torture and abuse and rape and killings of their families, and threatening them, and just all sorts of things like that. And so they just leave and they come here to Armenia because Armenia will allow them to. Armenia is very good to them, actually. I mean, I have to say, Armenia is very kind to people, whether they're from Iran or Ukraine or Russia. It's amazing. There's a ton of refugees here from Ukraine and from Russia who have both fled the war up there to come to Armenia. It's cheap to live here. It's the safest country in Asia. There's literally not one neighborhood in this entire nation that not one in this entire nation that I wouldn't let my wife walk alone at 11 o'clock at night in. It's just a very, very safe country. It's a very welcoming, kind people. The food is great, and it's like I said, it's inexpensive. So I'm seeing some stuff come through here. Thank you for all your reporting. I'm interested in. Sorry, I didn't get my glasses today, so it's kind of dark out here. I don't think I'm going to be able to read that one. Sorry. Thank you, though. Appreciate the $19.99. Maybe Nathan can find my glasses in my black bag and bring them out here so I can read these things. So anyway, these Iranians come across the border into Armenia, and then they have to figure out what to do next. They can't legally work on a tourist visa, obviously. They can only be here on a tourist visa for 3 months. It is harder, obviously, just like it is anywhere in the world, to get some other kind of visa, like a permanent residency or something like that, where they can stay longer. So they come here. Some of them just let their visa run out, their tourist visa, and then they figure they'll pay a fine when they go to leave the country. Many of them just are trying to hide in the shadows, I think. But by and large, the ones I've talked to have said, we really want to respect Armenia's laws. We want to do it right. We don't want to mess this up, because this is a good option for us until we can hopefully get back into Iran when it becomes liberated. And so they need a way to go to a third country. If they have a passport, they can fly to Turkey, is about it from here. And that's a quick, easy, cheap flight to Turkey, direct flight there on a budget airline. And then do the kind of visa run thing where they go there for a day and then come right back. And so that's what we helped the girl do at church this morning. There are others who have found ways to make a living, started a little business, doing people's hair or nails or driving a taxi or, something like that. But suffice it to say, there are a lot of Iranians here in Armenia who feel very stuck right now. And so they're very, very happy looking at what's happening inside Iran, hoping against hope that this regime will fall. But it has not fallen yet. And they are trying very hard to put up a big fight. They keep saying, oh, the next salvo is going to be devastating. But think about it. In about not quite 48 hours, maybe 36 hours of fighting, the Iranians have managed to fire 200 missiles at Israel. If you go back to the original interchange that they had back in April of 2024, where Iran's attacked Israel, they fired like 300 missiles at one time. And it was, it was just a one-day fight. It just didn't go on very long. And then Israel ended up firing back at a later date. But it was just basically one salvo, 300 missiles and a bunch of drones, that sort of thing. Thank you for the $20. And so at that point, obviously, they had the ability to fire 300 missiles at once. Now they're firing in the dozens in each salvo, dozens of missiles, not hundreds. So what that tells you something about where they're at. And again, I keep mentioning this, but Israel is focusing on the launchers and destroying the launchers every time they can find them. And that just reduces, it doesn't matter how many missiles they have. You get rid of the launchers and you've got no more problem. So the Iranians, Armenians expected, the Armenian Christians at the church we went to today, they said that they expected that when the war started, there'd be a mass exodus of people fleeing to Armenia across this border right here. That's one of the reasons I came over here. But as it turns out, that really isn't the case. People in Iran are hunkering down, waiting to see what happens. They are watching with joy, with elation, the bombing campaign. Israel, so as I said, Iran has struck Israel with about 200 missiles so far. Israel has struck Iran with about 2,000 missiles so far. And that doesn't include the missiles that the United States has fired. So with virtually no material losses in terms of ships, planes, and only very low casualty figures so far in terms of manpower, the United States and Iran and Israel are absolutely spanking Iran right now. And there's just no two ways about that. They are hammering them. Inside Tehran, all over the country, they are getting trounced. We did find out something about those Chinese air defense radars that we've been wondering about. The Chinese, as you remember, have been shipping their most advanced anti-aircraft radars into Iran after their most advanced ones were destroyed in Venezuela 6 weeks ago. They upgraded the firmware and sent new ones to Iran to help them defend against these air attacks. Well, we have now figured out that they are actually very good at detecting F-35s, for example, these stealth aircraft the United States and Israel have. And the way that they detect them is by exploding. Apparently, that's their talent. But these very high-tech Chinese anti-aircraft radars just spontaneously combust when faced with an F-35. So so they're actually, wow, impressive. And you know, everybody knows that Chinese is synonymous for cheap junk. Well, what we're learning is that the cheap Chinese junk you get at Walmart is orders of magnitude higher quality than the cheap Chinese junk that they have in China. They actually reserve the lowest quality of cheap Chinese junk for their own people inside China because nobody else would buy it. So I imagine that the Chinese defense industry is kind of losing some sales right now. They're not getting a lot of callbacks from countries that were interested in buying their hardware. The Russians as well had some of their most advanced stuff in Iran. That also spontaneously combusted in the initial salvos. Apparently, the Israelis have flown more sorties, more like 700 sorties in the last 2 days or a day and a half. That's more than that's more than half of what they flew in the entire 12 days of war that they had last June. So they are really stepping it up, and they've established complete air superiority over Iran. They have complete air dominance, and so they've established what they call an air train going from Israel to Iran to drop bombs, and just nonstop. And they put it out today. They announced that we will keep this air train going as long as it takes, and we're going to absolutely hammer the IRGC and the government. There was a Bassage headquarters that was struck. At least it was reported that it was struck, and some unnamed U.S. officials said that there might have been as many as 300 guys inside there that got vaporized. You know, they got shuffled off this mortal coil very post haste to go to Hades and get issued their 72 virgin goats and start complaining about the climate control. So things are actually going very, very well for Israel. It's incredibly sad and tragic that anybody has died. They had, like I said, those 9 in Bet Shemesh, and more may die. Apparently, very, you know, there were a lot of people injured as well. But there was also a woman in Tel Aviv who was killed by, I don't know if it was a missile strike or a drone strike or what, probably not a drone strike. I don't believe any of the drones that the Iranians have fired at Israel have gotten through. But speaking of which, it sounds like I'm hearing a drone right now. No, it's a Jeep down there. Man, I tell you what, those old Soviet Jeeps, they sound incredibly like a drone from Iran. But that's just because they're old and rickety. Okay, so I want to get to some of your questions. Apparently, Nathan didn't hear my request for my reading glasses. Hang on just a second. I want to show you. I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you whatever you can see. I don't know how much you'll be able to see there, but if you see the mountain right there in the distance, so that's a mountain right there, and beyond that mountain is Iran. So the border is just right over that way. And I'm just in a little village here. Whoops, there goes my teacup. I'm in a little Armenian village. It's very quaint and very ancient. Lots of stone houses and stuff. I'm staying in this great guest house here. Beautiful guest house. Hey guys, can you find my reading glasses and bring them up here to me? They're in my black bag.
Which one?
The little one, I think. It might be in my big one. I don't know. Anyway, so that's just a production shot for you. I know that it's interesting sometimes to see behind the scenes. And so there you go. You got a little tour of our guest house. And the view from here in the morning is spectacular. I've been here a couple times before. It's really beautiful. The mountains inside Iran are insane. They're 11,000-foot mountains. And right now we're down at about maybe 2,500 feet or 2,000 feet above sea level, something like that. So incredible stuff. Now, I'm going to start looking back here for some questions. I ordered a few things from your merch store, and I'm expected to see that they are going to be here today. All right, fantastic. If you'd like to get Hot Zone t-shirts, hats, mugs, all that stuff, all you have to do is go to holtonnewsstore.com. Holton, Holton, newsstore.com, and you can pick up your very own merchandise. We've got some good stuff there. So let's see if we got, is that pine? Yeah, well, on the inside it's pine. On the outside, the siding on this is metal. It's like a trailer park or something. But it looks like pine. And it's a new guest house they just built. Very nice. I want to see Armenia someday, Chuck, in person. Well, you should definitely come. We run tours to Armenia every year in June or May or June. And this year our tour is completely full. I mean, it is booked solid, as full as we could get it. So we don't have any more. There she is. Thank you, my dear. All right, now I can start reading some of these questions off. Okay. Riot going on in Iraq and Baghdad. Oh, yeah, that's one other thing that I forgot to tell you about. I dropped my phone. There was a riot in front of the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan today, and the Pakistani police showed up and started shooting with live ammunition and killed like 8 or 9 of the rioters. But some of the employees at the U.S. Embassy there were injured. I don't believe they were American citizens. Usually what you see at foreign embassies, American embassies overseas, is that the outer ring of security is local security. They're locals that we hired. The inner ring of security are U.S. Marines, and you're not going to get past those guys. But before they got into the embassy, there was video out there of them smashing windows and trying to get in, but the windows are all bulletproof on the outside of the embassy anyway. So they were starting fires and stuff like that, but apparently the Pakistani police were the ones who killed the protesters and not any Marines. No Marines were involved in that right there, okay? So let's go. Why the little sarcastic Trump comments? Am I making sarcastic Trump comments? I make sarcastic comments about everybody, Trump included. So don't think he's special or anything. There are riots happening at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad right now. I am not surprised at that. All Ukraine, Armenia, Georgia Christians, Palestinians in the West Bank, Israel, or Eastern Orthodox Christians. Beautiful icons. Yes, that's correct. Operation Testosterone. Let's see here. Hey, Chuck, do you expect mass refugee out of Iran, either the regime fall or not? I expect a lot of IRGC members and fans who could flee will do so if their stakes get loose. Well, that's what we're here for. So far, I know of about 15 Iranian families who have crossed the border into Armenia, but not a mass exodus so far. We just keep... okay, let's see. I'll be visiting Jerusalem. Will Pakistan-Afghanistan war escalate? I think it's escalated about as far as it can, and the Afghan side is losing to that. I did a whole video about that if you want to go watch that. Leah Tali, thank you for the 1999. You're very kind. I appreciate you. Let's see. People who argue we couldn't beat the Taliban are kind of stupid. Well, it depends on what you mean by beating them, right? Because you realize we took out the Taliban in Afghanistan, then we stayed there for 20 years building their country up, and then we left and gave it back to the Taliban. So I don't know if that's a win on the part of the Taliban or just a stupidity on the part of the Americans. Was Iran really a threat to justify all this bombing? Absolutely they were. Iran has been responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths since 1972. They're the world's largest state sponsor of terror. So what happens is, they fund and facilitate terrorists all over the world, inside the United States, in Europe, in Asia, in the Middle East. The Iranians have been funding that terror all across the globe. And so, yes, it's absolutely worth taking out. And finally, we should have done this a long time ago. Cheryl says she wants to see Armenia. Let's see here. I'm scrolling. I'm gonna go way back to the people who asked questions at the beginning. I feel bad. Hal Richard said, thank you for the $10. How much more time, in your opinion, will it take to completely disarm Iran's republic? I'm just hoping we can do it. I think it'll take weeks at the minimum, maybe months to do so. I'm just hoping that we can do it, because the IRGC has been setting itself up for survival for a long time, like 30 years. They've been planning for this showdown. And so they have serious plans on staying in power. There's no two ways about that. Why do Iran attack UAE, Kuwait, Qatar airports and hotels and not American bases? Are they going to start a regional war? They've already started a regional war. It is a regional war. There's no two ways about that now. And the reason they're striking those is because they're valuable assets to the UAE and Qatar and Kuwait. And they're showing that, hey, we're not just striking at the Americans. We're striking at people who host the Americans. And so there you go. James Guillen says 30,000 dead. That's inside Iran, but that's from the Iranian government. Iran is the fourth largest military on earth. No, they're actually the 14th largest military on earth. They have their landmass here is about the size, Brett Bickers, of Alaska, and they have almost 90 million people. It's a big population. So yeah, we're not going to occupy Iran. That's not in the cards. It's not in the plans. We have no plans to do that. U.S. ammunition depot was hit in Erbil today with significant damage and a large cook-off of ammunition. Okay, I didn't hear about that, but okay. Do we know if there are any civilian casualties in Iran from the bombings? There are likely some. Iran, of course, says that all of the casualties are civilians, but that's what you would expect them to say. Cheryl says, how concerned are you we'll be in danger on the U.S. mainland from sleep? Oh, I'm not even going to answer that. You guys answer that all the time. Is this a TDS channel? No, it's to praise President Trump, and I'm not even joking about that. I love to praise President Trump, but I will also say when he does something stupid. This is not a TDS channel. This is a truth channel. So I'll tell the truth whether or not it's comfortable for you, okay? Okay, let's see. I canceled, okay. Cool paneling. I'm happy to say that I ordered, okay, I already got that. No ships have been hit. No American ships have been hit, but Iranian ships certainly have. And there's one other ship that was hit that I forgot to mention. Actually, more than one. There were at least 3 commercial ships that have been hit by Iran. And one of them is an oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. But here's the ironic part. It was an oil tanker that belonged, it was flagged in Palau. Thank you for that 30 shekels, I believe that is. It was flagged in Palau, but it was a ghost ship that was part of the ghost fleet that transported Iranian oil. So it was essentially an Iranian tanker, and many of the crew on board were Iranian, but the Iranians struck it. Now, nobody has officially claimed the strike, but the Iranians said that they struck some ships. Okay. The crew, some of the crew were gravely injured. All of them were rescued off the ship. The ship is now burning in the Strait of Hormuz, and you can imagine the Strait of Hormuz is essentially closed now. So that's going to affect China. It may affect oil prices. I checked the oil prices right before we went live, and they're up another 2% today, 67 to 70, something like that. That's not a huge spike. Most of the spike in the price of oil was already priced into the price of oil before the war started because everybody expected the war to start. Question, is the Ayatollah more dangerous now as a martyr? Well, I don't think so. But the question is, whoever takes his place, if they don't manage to knock out the regime altogether, whoever takes his place could be even more aggressive and more dangerous. And that's one thing the U.S. military was worried about. Was the tanker full? Apparently not completely full, but it did have oil on it, and it's now burning in the Strait of Hormuz. There were at least 2 other ships that were struck by the Iranians as well. And this is essentially the Iranians saying, hey, don't mess with us. We're going to close down the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I don't think the United States is actually prioritizing keeping the Strait of Hormuz open for the time being. If we wanted to do that, we could. Right now, I think that we're prioritizing military targets, prioritizing decapitation strikes, and trying to damage the will of the regime badly enough that they will capitulate. That's what they're hoping for. And so let the Strait of Hormuz get closed down. That actually is going to get China to maybe put some pressure on Iran. And so I just don't think that the United States that's on the top of their list. It is on their list, but it's not on the top of their list, right? Thank you for the congrats on the last couple lives. Yeah, that we've had some big numbers the last couple lives. We appreciate all of you guys. Let me just say one more time, folks. If you want to support this kind of news, I go around the world. I've been to 15 countries already this year. I went to Greenland when that popped off. I went to Venezuela when that popped off. I went to Iceland, and I went to Iraq and Syria already this year. I'm here in Armenia now. If you want to support that kind of truth-telling, where somebody actually goes and finds out what's going on the ground and then brings that to you, just go over to chuckholton.com and become a supporter over there. That's the best place to support us. We get more of the money that you donate there to support, independent creators like me than we do when you donate here on YouTube. We're very happy for those of you who tip us on YouTube as well. That's very kind. I'm just saying that we get to keep more of the money if you do it over on locals, and you get more benefits if you do it on locals anyway. So I would ask, just humbly, that you consider going to chuckholton.com and supporting us over there. Okay, Walt Perry says, underestimating Iran since Beirut looks like that is no longer the case. Is this a flawed assessment, or does the U.S. military get it this time to end this threat convincingly? Well, time's left up to the military. I believe they actually would. But it's not up to the military, it's up to the politicians. And the politicians have a different calculus. They're more concerned about the political fallout of what they're doing, typically, than they are from worried about actually winning. And I hate to say that, but it just seems like that's been the case since the Obama administration, or even the Clinton administration, is that right when we're on the cusp of actually doing something that would make a real difference in the world, the politicians pull everybody out and say, we're going to just declare it stopped instead of over. We haven't won any wars in my lifetime because of that. The only war we really won was the one I was involved in Panama in 1989. Is it true the U.S. and Israel took out 25% of all Iranian MiG-29 numbers 7 yesterday? I believe that is true. I saw several reports on that, and I believe it is true. Now, it doesn't matter, because whether we take them out or not, they are no threat to us. I mean, they have F-4s and F-5s, and those things are so old and rickety that they'll get shot down in seconds if they go up in the air, really. Okay, next. I hope that Trump doesn't pull the plug too early to get a deal to declare victory. Yes, Michael, I totally agree with you on that. Will other allies in Europe or the Middle East get involved offensively? The UK is already involved offensively. They've been firing. They've been flying sorties. And as a matter of fact, the Iranians attacked a ninth country in Cyprus. They attacked a UK military base, air base in Cyprus today. I forgot about that one. Will this war result in the collapse of the IRGC, do you think? I hope. I don't think that anybody can make that prediction right now. Obviously, the Iranians are getting much worse end of this deal right now. The fight that's going on right now is 10-1 against the Iranians. Easily 10-1. Probably more like 20 or 25 or 30-1. But that doesn't mean that the IRGC is going to go away. The IRGC could possibly stay around and turn this into some kind of, insurgency or something. I don't know. But I think it's likely that and let me just say this, the IRGC will fall, certainly, as long as the United States and Israel have the will to make it fall. If we maintain the will to do the job, we will get the job done. I strongly believe that. Thank you, Vicky. Some coffee for my wife. Yeah, she comes along with me on a lot of these trips, although she hasn't traveled with me as much this year because I was going to cold places, and my wife does not go to cold places unless there are grandbabies there. Fortunately for us, I've got 2 grandbabies here in Armenia. My son and his wife live here. And so when I told her I was being called to go to Armenia, she was like, well, I'll get my stuff packed, even though it is pretty cold. It's about freezing here, and this is the warmest place in Armenia right now. Who's directing the Iran ops given the top leadership removal? I believe that there are IRGC. They have something like 10,000 IRGC generals. I mean, it's some massive number of generals. And we haven't killed all of those yet. So those guys are still fuzzy de les bottes, cutie kitty. Yeah, that is a good-looking cat. That's a cute cat back there. So yeah, it's about 0 degrees Celsius here right now. Red alerts on shofar. Yeah, we've been seeing those all day long. Alerts in Israel. Yeah, I'm getting those too. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today, folks. Thank you very much for, I wonder, is that cat like plotting my demise or what? I don't know, what's that cat doing over there? Possible terror attack in Austin, somebody says. I'll have to go look that up. Tim Gunn, let me just look real quick and see if there's any information, breaking news on that. Hang on just a second to check my source. Where'd it go? Stand by. Checking sources. Let's see here. Most recent information I've got. This must have just happened because I'm not seeing anything. Let's check X real quick. This is, what's amazing is that if we wanted to find out about breaking news, we used to go to CNN. We used to go to TV, turn on our TV and watch the news. Now, those guys are so far behind because the first source news is all coming out. Okay, here's a new one. The new Ayatollah, his name is Ali Reza. Ayatollah Ali Reza Arafai just posted that tonight the world will witness the end of the Zionists' arrogance. And he put up an AI-generated video of missiles. So apparently they're going to defeat the Zionists with artificial intelligence tonight. Horrific reports from prisons in Iran. Revolutionary Guards have begun removing thousands of political prisoners and transporting them to strategic complexes, symbols of power, and official headquarters across the country in order to create human shields at target sites. I don't know about that. That's not confirmed. Central Command says that last night They used B-2 stealth bombers armed with 2,000-pound bombs to strike Iran's hardened ballistic missile facilities. That's not their nuclear facilities. That's their ballistic missile facilities, and take those out. No, come on. I'm seeing a report here that the new Ayatollah, RFA, was killed after new strikes on Tehran. He was only appointed this morning. I do want to show you this photograph, and I don't know if you can see all of that, but that's a list of all of the high-ranking IRGC officials and regime officials who were taken out in that original strike on the Ayatollah's residence. That's a lot. So, okay, mass shooting in Austin, Texas. They're putting out a photo of a guy wearing a sweatshirt that says "Property of Allah," and they say that he was. This is from Bill Malugin, who's a Fox News reporter, and so he knows what he's talking about. Wow, somebody just donated $200. Who was that? Let's go back here and see if I can find that person. Randy Schmidt. Thank you very much, buddy. I will try to help some Iranian Christians with that $200. Thank you very much. So yeah, it does look like there was some sort of shooting in Austin, Texas, and it may have been related to what's going on here in the Middle East. Unconfirmed reports are that the new Ayatollah has already been killed. We'll have to wait and see. The Austin, Texas shooter has been identified, a 53-year-old immigrant from Senegal. I'm not going to tell you his name because we don't read the names of mass shooters. He allegedly had a Quran in his vehicle and was wearing a shirt that read "Property of Allah." So there are videos that are coming out on X about this now, and I'm not sure. There's no, I don't see any reporting on how many were shot or killed or anything like that. There are big protests in the Green Zone in Iraq near the U.S. Embassy, and there are heavy clashes right now between the Iraqi security forces and the pro-Iranian demonstrators, many of which are probably part of those. Oh, wow. Iranian media are reporting that Ayatollah Khamenei's son, who was long discussed as one of the potential successors to the Ayatollah, has also been eliminated. So they are definitely playing whack-a-mole here and winning at that game. The Israelis are killing it, literally. Interesting. Okay. Well, so I'll go back live again if something major happens, but it's almost time. Oh boy, I'm about to miss my hit. I got a hit right now. So I got to go. Thank you very much for being a part of the Hot Zone. We'll see you next time. Bye.